Welcome back to a special midweek edition of Hungover Hand Right. We just had to talk because there's so much news going on. We're doing it remotely for the first time. And what a week, Chad.
Yeah, it's been nuts, dude. Especially even today, the things that came through the pipeline was nuts. Huge. These aren't little things. Sometimes Dana will surprise us with the little tidbits here and there, but these are some big news.
This is one of the crazier weeks there's been in a while. This whole
Oh, yeah.
card is just it changed 2 weeks before the card.
Yeah, it's crazy. The first one, the big one, obviously the Oliveira matchup with Makhachev.
Yep.
I wasn't too surprised about it because of the history there. I'm bummed out about it because I like Oliveira. I want him to win.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Makhachev is who he is. He's champ for a reason. So, but it's kind of a bummer. But they made up for it in the fact that Volk is stepping in, albeit 11-day notice. But Volk is Volk, and he's down to scrap whenever.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's benefits him, but it probably doesn't. But does it benefit him in the fact that Islam was training for Charles too? So he
Yeah.
wasn't expecting to get Volk, who gave him his toughest matchup to date. So
Yeah, it's tough for Volk. Normally this would be like very little pressure on the guy coming in on 10 days notice, but I
uh-huh.
feel like considering he already lost to him once, I just don't know if he loses again at 35 years old if there's a third fight in the pipeline, especially considering his age and the division that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
There's a ton of guys throughout that division.
For sure. The only reason I see it happening a third time if he does lose is because he took it on such short notice.
Yeah.
I wish he was getting a full camp because, looking back at it, a lot of people thought Volk won, and I've rewatched the fight several times, cut up and then just regular watching, like you were at home watching it, and then a couple times it actually chopped up with people talking. And I think it might have been a lot of bias too that Volk. A lot of people thought Volk won. It was in Australia. It was a fan favorite. Against a lot of people look at as the villain of that division. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was a close fight, but I don't think it was as close as people thought in the sense of like Volk won certain rounds when it was just a 10-9 round, but a
Yeah.
very close round.
Yeah, and I think it really was the grappling. I think it sealed it. Even though Islam didn't necessarily do a ton with like taking his back, he still
Yeah,
took his back and
yeah,
controlled
and
him.
held it there for 3.5 minutes or 4
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah,
Which is unfortunate. A lot of people don't like that style. A lot of people, if they do see the grappling, they want to see damage and stuff like that. I'm guilty of it. I'm one of them. I love grappling and all that, but I want to see you work to get some damage and not just hold on to somebody. I get that is a very big tactic and a hell of a tool to have in your repertoire. Um, but I don't know. I'm excited for the fight because obviously it's one of the biggest stars in Volk. Fan favorite, going to be a Hall of Famer, and Makhachev, who's a champ, defended his titles, and who's going to be a Hall of Famer probably him in itself. But I I don't know. I wish Volk had more time, but I'm still excited for this fight because it's a fight game. Anything can happen.
yeah, yeah. He's gonna bring it either way. He can
Uh,
hang. He can hang in the grappling. I'm sure he's in good shape. I think Volk's gonna bring it. The big loser here. Obviously Charles. He's out of the fight, but I think his next fight probably is still a title shot. But the big loser here is Gamrot.
oh
Speaking of,
yeah,
speaking of guys that don't do a lot of damage on
yeah.
top,
Um.
the exact situation happened that they brought him in for,
Mhm.
and they fucked him.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah, I mean he got really kind of shit on, but the UFC's trying to make all the money while they can, and this is supposed to be the biggest card of the year.
Yeah.
And I don't. I think Dana's looking at dollar bills, thinking, does Islam and Gamrot sell like Volk and Islam too? And it doesn't reach. It doesn't come close.
No.
Even on 10, 11-day notice, it's not going to touch. It's in a
No.
different echelon. It's.
Yeah.
Um, I have been vocal about Gamrot. I'm not a big fan of his style. With the grappling and not doing much, and obviously he got the title shot after beating a hurt Fizaev. You know, maybe that's I don't know. I guess we see a Gamrot fighting. I don't know. Maybe does he fight Charles? Is he?
Charles or like maybe Gaethje.
Yeah. Gaethje wanted the winner of this.
This is kind of. I mean, this is part of like I love obviously Volk and I love the fight, the Islam fight. I'd probably slightly rather see Charles, but I still like it. It's not that Gamrot isn't fighting that I'm not mad, but that I'm kind of like what the fuck. It's more that this division's already so jammed up with
Mhm.
Islam not being that active anyways, and it's always been one of the deepest weight classes. It's still deep, and you got Islam at the top. You got kind of Dustin and Chandler that kind of aren't really interested in fighting anybody other than like the vets, and then you got all the Sarukians, Gamrots, Jalen Turners, these guys throughout the lineup just waiting to get a shot or waiting to move up.
For
So,
sure.
so that's why this Volk rematch, and then if Volk wins the trilogy, that's the one thing I don't like about it. And so, like you were kind of alluding to there, like Gamrot, he's going to have to fight, Sarukian or who'd we say, Gaethje,
Yeah,
like someone like
Gaethje.
that. And if God forbid Connor wins against Chandler, then it's like a year and a half now.
Oh yeah. Then you just got everybody, in a standstill, and
Mhm.
it it it's exciting in the fact of the UFC is making a ton of money, and to the casual fan of just seeing the best names,
Mhm.
name wise, notoriety wise. Although they are great fighters and still top of the food chain, there are some guys down there in the mid tier list that are deserving and are could well possibly be a champ in the future. I mean, you never know with the fight game, and it just kind of puts that on hold for the hardcores that want to see it happen. Kind of want to see some change and moving along of the division.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's again, it's so deep that it'd be nice to see guys just have a shot to move up at least, or something like that. But I mean, let's just real quick. I mean, you mentioned so Gaethje's kind of waiting. I don't know if he necessarily deserves a shot before Charles,
Hmm.
but it's Gaethje, it's Charles, Gaethje, Dustin, Beneil, Chandler, Gamrot, and then Fiziev, Saruki, and I think Hooker's going to probably fight down because he's been out for a while.
Hmm.
He might fight Bobby Green or something like that. But Chandler's obviously fighting Connor. Fazeev's out. Dariush, I believe, is fighting Sarukian.
Yep, I saw that one.
And then it's Gaethje, Dustin, Oliveira are kind of waiting.
Yeah, and there was some talk. I guess the UFC asked Dustin too if he would step in, if he
And,
could make 155 and come in, and he said yes. But I that one didn't. I mean, I know they probably asked several fighters just in case some of them say no,
mhm.
But like in case that Volk said, "Hey, I can't. I'm not ready," or I'm injured myself," or whatever it may be, they have to ask several fighters, and Dustin said yes. But I don't know how far along Dustin was on that list. Obviously, he's a big name and he's done well in the sport, but
That's
I
so
mean,
weird that they had to ask more. I mean, it's like ask Volk or Gamrot. It's like why
yeah,
why do you need to
yeah.
ask more?
You
Like,
had a guy waiting, in limbo who said he would
yeah,
back up, made his weight in or said he's going to make his weight, and I think it has to. I mean, we all know what it is. It has to do with money,
Yeah.
dollar bills, and Gamrot just doesn't bring the dollar bills.
No. I get it. It's like just
Yeah, it
kind of
sucks.
continues to prove that the UFC they just don't really give a shit about the fighters that much. It's just literally the dollar bills.
Yeah, they want to make the most money, which I get in, I guess at a capitalism standpoint, but you want to make the most money while you can.
Yeah.
But it does suck for Gamrot. If I was in that position, I'd be pissed. And
Yeah.
we saw that. I don't know if it was real or not. He said he was on a plane to go meet Dana and threaten violence and stuff. And
Yeah.
I
I
was
mean,
like,
what was the violence? I didn't actually see what it.
I didn't get it too far into it. Honestly, I thought it was more clickbaity.
Yeah. That's yeah.
He probably said, "I'm pissed. I could punch a wall or something," and
Yeah.
someone turned it into, "I'm flying to Vegas to fight Dana."
Yeah. That's kind of what I was. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I mean, I'm sure there was already a decent little chunk of change set up because he was going to be the backup fighter, and then I'm sure Dana will probably like, here's a little bit more, and just
Mm-hmm.
go shut up now,
Yeah,
that type of thing.
you're probably right.
But then we got, so obviously co-main was supposed to be Khamzat, Paulo Costa for UFC 294. This one is weird, and I have a kind of a theory about what's going on here that I have zero idea if it's actually true or not.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, Paulo Costa had like elbow surgery like 3.5 weeks ago. The picture I saw, it looked like some sort of infection. Like it didn't look like an injury. So I kind of feel like, and again, this is just me speculating. I think that Costa told the UFC about this infection he had on his arm, and they said, "Okay, listen, we'll pay for you to get the surgery done on it. This, surgery,
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna send you the best doctor we can find, and we're gonna try to keep this fight together because it's like 3.5 weeks out still."
For sure.
And then they probably behind the scenes maybe said, "Hey, Usman, like, would you take this if you started training right now for it? Because he's already booked against somebody else, anyways, right?"
I thought, well, at one point there was talk of him and Wonder Boy, and then it was
Was it him and Bilal? I think it's him and Bilal.
that was Bilal. It was Bilal
I
at
think
one point. I
it's
know
a
they
ways out, but
speculated.
yeah.
Yeah, but now it's nuts.
But I feel like they said, they may have said this to a couple guys, but like it was, Kamara, like, Paulo, we're not sure if he's going to be there, so start training now if you want the fight against Khamzat.
Mm-hmm.
And then now he pulls out, and the weird thing is Paulo's saying he's going to be there and like all this stuff.
Yeah, he's saying he's
The
not
fight's
backing out.
about.
Dana's already announced a new fight, so I
Yeah,
don't know. He could be on the wine again. Who knows? But
yeah,
it's that one's going to be fun. I mean, you know, Usman's first time going up, and then I mean, we all know who Chimaev is. I mean, he's a beast, but we haven't seen him in forever either, and he's not cutting the weight down to welterweight or anything like that. So I mean, what kind of more of a beast are we going to get there?
yeah.
And then is he going to be able to do the wrestling against Usman? I don't know if he's much bigger than Usman. I think he's taller, but I don't know how much bigger because Usman's a freaking nature. He's
I just picture, I don't know. I just think Usman's slowing down. Like I just picture Khamzat. If they were in a dark alley, I think Khamzat could take Usman's life if he wanted to.
yeah.
Like,
I could understand and agree with you on the fact that Usman's explosivity is definitely diminished. I mean, it
mhm,
happens with everybody as they get older, but he doesn't look. At least we haven't seen him use the wrestling a ton. Maybe a little bit against Leon, but I mean, it wasn't like Kamzat explodes
mhm,
and it looks insane. Like it looks like a crazy athlete, which they all are, but he looks like in a tier of his own.
right.
When like that Kevin Holland him exploding, granted it was on a fake glove touch, but when he's throwing around other men his size, it's insane. You got to be in your own tier and your own. It's your own species almost. You're a freak.
Him and Usman are just they're just different
Yeah.
in that regard. I mean, plus I think it is beneficial to Chimaev that yes, they'll both be fighting at 185, but he's basically fighting at welterweight
Hmm.
where he came from. Like, it may help Usman a little bit going up to 185. Maybe he'll be a little bit faster up there, but he's
Hmm.
fighting a welterweight basically.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know if the speed will be any different in this one.
Who knows? I think it's going to be a fun one to watch. Are we going to get, a calculated, smart fighter like we've seen Chimaev, or are we going to get the I'm going to go out there and just brawl with you like he did with Gilbert Burns?
I'm kind of leaning that.
You're leaning more of that.
Yeah, I mean maybe not brawl like on the feet, but I think he's just gonna just go ham, especially
Yeah.
because it's 3 rounds and he's not cutting the weight, so he probably feels a lot better about it.
Hmm.
Probably trusts his gas tank a little more, but it's hard to say. I mean, we haven't seen him that much in the octagon, really. I mean, he's been
True.
around for years, but he doesn't fight that much. So,
No, it's always something, weight or
yeah,
missing 35 pounds on a way in or something, and talking all the shit on Twitter, but not fighting, or it's something with the UFC. I mean, who knows what's all going on behind the scenes, but
I hope this isn't something that continues to happen with him. Just
yeah, I hope like he gets back in it, and then they start pushing him, and he starts, fighting more and more, more than once every 2 years. Or I think I don't know. I'm excited for it. It's another one where I'm like, holy shit! I think the odds. I looked at them like opening odds for it and everything were quite even.
were they?
Yeah,
I have a couple of the other fights odds, but I didn't see that one actually. I don't think.
I don't remember where I saw it, but I think it was pretty even.
That's. I mean, I do. I want to know now, but that I would be. I mean, I'd be kind of surprised if it was pretty close odds. I mean, I don't know. That would surprise me a little bit. I think.
I was a little surprised because I thought maybe Chimaev was going to be the favorite.
Uh, well, okay. So this is DraftKings minus 305.
Oh, okay, that
That's
was
pretty
not what I
wide.
saw. So
It maybe
it
maybe
was some kind of graphic. So I don't. It probably wasn't even real odds. It was just some kind of. I think I saw it on Twitter. So you know how I am with Twitter.
right.
Believe everything you see on the internet.
See that the number I said there that's kind of more what I was expecting minus 305 type
Okay.
thing. I mean, it may open even, or obviously depends on the book. Also, like some book may have just lined it just whatever, like minus 150 or something, and then people just hammered them probably. But
Yeah.
um, real quick, we talked about Volk, but I forgot to mention the odds there because I saw a post about the opening odds minus 200 Islam, plus 170 Volk.
Hmm.
That
That's.
feels about right, but
I
I
thought still even I thought it might be a little bit more with Islam because of the 10-day notice or 11-day notice, and how the first fight went. I think realistically that fight was close, but not as close as people thought. Especially if you're a Volk fan. And me being a Volk fan, I think a lot of people thought he won. But again, with how it being judged and everything, I mean, you just never know with damage being counted more or control time or it's just
and the crowd noise in Australia too. I mean,
yes. Oh yeah, especially if you're there. How can you be a human and not be affected by that? You
mhm.
know,
And then again,
awesome.
Islam takes his back, and everyone's booing. So it's like it's just the judges hear that obviously, and there's no way to not have some sort of subconscious feel for that.
Exactly.
So, but wasn't I mean last time wasn't it like minus 350 Islam? I think like at close.
I thought it. I think so, and I
Yeah,
thought it'd be a little bit higher than. I thought it'd be a little bit closer to that this time as well.
right. Yeah, minus. This was opening. I just saw it on a graphic. Obviously, depends on the book once again, but minus 200 on that one. Really quick, Jonathon Almeida. We don't have to spend time on this, but Blades out, Derek Lewis in against Jonathon
Yeah.
Almeida. Opening odds minus 700 Jonathon Almeida.
Oh wow.
That That seems crazy to me, actually.
That's insane, especially against somebody that can end your life with one
Yeah,
punch. Um, although what we've seen in the past with the Black Beast is, doesn't do all too well with guys like Almeida. So, um, although his last fight, he came out and surprised everybody, flying knee. I mean, knocking people's teeth all messed up. And I mean, he's the Black Beast. He's a Hall of Famer himself. Still doing the damn thing. Just signed that new 6-fight deal. So, I mean, he plans on doing it for a while still.
he's got to catch him early. He has to.
Yeah, has to. Has to. I mean, Almeida is just a technician. He's just he'll end stuff quick. And especially if the fight goes on longer and somehow Derek Lewis, I mean, he's been in every fight. He keeps saying he's in the best shape of his life, and he looks like it. I mean, he's got abs now.
The last one he did.
Yeah, so I mean, who knows? We might. I don't think he's going to sit there and become a BJJ, ultra black belt and overnight. So I think he's going to. I don't know. I know sometimes the Black Beast is cornered. They come up with some tricky things. Like the uppercut when he ended Blades and
Hmm.
things that you don't really expect him to do, or most people don't. Stop a takedown with an uppercut from hell and knock somebody out cold.
Switch kick to the head.
Yeah, some shit like that. You never know.
Yeah,
But I mean, I'll definitely be cheering on the Black Beast. I mean, who doesn't? I mean, I like the Black Beast. I'm a big fan.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I do feel like, unfortunately, it's a better matchup for Almeida than Blades would have been.
Yes.
But
Yes.
Blades. I mean, he's chinny as fuck. So I mean, maybe you catch. Derek's going to take a few more shots probably than Blades would have, but wrestling style would have made it a little tougher for Almeida for sure.
For sure.
Um. Okay, so USADA, what they implemented the rules for Connor.
Mm-hmm.
6-month window or 6-month testing period before you can fight, and the UFC, from what I can tell, did not like that. And so
Yeah, from what we're reading, it was kind of shocking, honestly. Just I know he's the biggest star the UFC has ever had. He still is the biggest star the UFC has. If he comes, Conor McGregor is an anomaly. Like the way what he's done for the sport of in the fact of notoriety and becoming from nothing to superstardom. And we talked about it. We talked about it on the pod that they could do a Brock Lesnar thing where he gets kind of a a pass to go in and fight. But I didn't think they'd be like, "Oh, we're done with USADA now. After our contract's up, we're going to go a different route." Not that I'm very well versed in anti-doping agencies or anything like that, but I thought, I mean, from what we know, USADA is the gold standard. That's it. That is the thing. But who knows what they go for? I
it's
know.
just it's sketchy. I mean, it's not even that they're getting rid of USADA. It's just the fact that the reason they are, and there may be more than just this reason, I don't know, but it just seems like the reason they are is because USADA stuck to the rules.
Mhm.
It's like they did what the rules say, and the UFC was like, "Oh, you're not going to make an exception for our biggest star? Get out of here."
Yeah,
It's just not a good look. It's icky. But the UFC doesn't care. That's
no, I think I don't know how long their contract was or how long they've been with them. I can't think of the date when they actually implemented USADA, but I think it has to do with the UFC wanted a little bit more say with their stars, and they want a little bit of back doors or ways to get around certain things, and then that's what they're trying to do is maybe they're trying to push for the last card of the year in December for a big card with Connor. But he put in he did his thing. He knows he probably has to do the 6-month thing, and he's probably looking to fight next year. I don't know. I'm starting to lean more that it's not going to happen for the end of the year.
no.
I thought in the beginning it wasn't, but now with him putting in, at least I would like to think that Connor, who's always been, you know, true and not been caught, or at least caught with any kind of dope, steroid use or anything like that. I think I would like to think, as a fan of him, that he's truly like trying to just get it back into it, and he plans on fighting in 6 months.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if there's a way with testing. If I know, like they have restrictions, like you have to be 6 months in of testing of random tests, but they also say you got to have two past tests within 6 months. I don't know if it has to go the full 6 months, or is it two tests within 6 months.
I think it's a hard like 6 months. I think it no matter what. So
Hmm.
it's tests or not. I mean, they could test you once or 12 times. I think it's got to be six.
Yeah.
And
Maybe it was they have to have at least two tests that passed or something like that.
yeah, because I mean, if it wasn't 6 months, then Connor would be fighting in December. I mean,
Yeah, no,
you
he
know,
would. If it wasn't 6 months, then he would just show that he passed two piss tests and be fine.
I don't. I
But
mean, obviously, none of us know why it took him so long to get in the pool, but like, I don't think he would show up to any fight, pissing hot or anything. So it's just it just comes down to the UFC. They want the control of everything.
hmm
And now the question is like, what? Like, are they testing anymore after December 31st, or like, what's going on here?
I don't know. Surely they got something in place. They've been thinking about it for a while now. They're going to look for some smaller company that's going to give them, or not necessarily give them, but follow instructions more, a little bit more power. That be like, hey, this guy needs to fight. He hasn't necessarily been 6 months, but is 3.5 months close enough.
I
If
don't
he's
like that.
got if he's got five piss tests that he's passed.
I don't know, man. That just opens the door for so much fuckery.
Yes, and that's where you start getting into the weeds there, and you start getting lost, and it's not a. Hopefully, it doesn't damage the sport. I hope it keeps everything, because we've been great. We haven't had any of the the bullshit with people being jacked up on some shit, and we've been able to have clean, pretty clean guys actually fighting. So I hope it keeps the integrity of the sport clean.
Yeah, yeah. There hasn't been many. I mean, OSP is the only one I can think of off the top of my head lately.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's been pretty good. Um, last thing I have here: Max versus Topuria for the interim title in January 297. So Topuria obviously does. This he should get this. He was going
hmm
to fight. The fight was going to be Volk, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Do people want to see Max Volk 4? Does that do people want that?
I don't. I mean, obviously they're two greats going at it, but the one great's got him three times.
Yeah.
So with one arguable win, or one of the wins being arguably he lost, the second one, I believe.
Mhm.
So I mean, I love Max, I love Volk, but I don't know if even I don't think a casual is going to want to watch him. Like, oh, we watched this. This will be the fourth time now. He beat him three times. Like, it's not like he split one, or they split. Max took one of the three.
Right.
Like, in the third one being like an ass whipping,
Mhm.
like Volk beating the hell out of him. So that's why I'm like, why are you having this? Unless they're like, we can't have the Topuria sitting forever. So because who knows how long they're going to be waiting for after this one. So
Yeah.
because what if this turns into a bloodbath, and
This is
then
the this is like the kind of division where like I would switch the situation at lightweight with this weight class, because kind of the reason Max is getting this fight is because Volk's he's clean house
yeah.
basically, except for
Mhm.
Topuria. So it's like you got lightweight there's got too many guys waiting around.
Mhm.
This weight class, you got a fourth fight between Max and Volk that's 0-3 because there's not enough guys waiting around.
Yeah.
It's just like it's tough. I think it's a big part of this is timing for Max. I mean, it all kind of worked out to where it's like, hey, maybe you could get another crack when
Yeah,
since the third fight, nobody thought that would happen.
yeah. I mean, especially what he did to an older zombie. I think it's definitely working out in Max's favor, but he's going against a beast, and I know everybody. Every time the fighter goes against Max, he gets counted out for some reason. Like, so a lot of people would be like, "Oh, this guy's a beast." They said the same thing about Arnold Allen, and I was one of them. So, and then look what Max did to Arnold. It was a good fight. We watched that one. So, Topuria could come out. I mean, Topuria is definitely a guy who can knock anybody out at any given moment, but he also can wrestle, he can grapple, um, and I don't know. I think it's a scary fight, and honestly, I would not be shocked if Topuria is like one of the guys that stops Max.
First
And I
guy.
know that's said all the time. Yeah, I meant the first guy.
Yeah, yeah.
The first guy ever to stop Max, that would be insane.
Yeah,
And
and I
then
mean,
that
he
sets up
can.
a thing for Volk and him.
Yeah, really, we just. I mean, it sounds bad because I'm a Volk fan, but Volk he needs to lose to Islam because then Taporia that fight doesn't happen if he wins. Like, there's a lot that Charles obviously doesn't happen. There's a lot going on at lightweight that doesn't happen if Volk wins.
Yeah,
But
if Volk wins, everything's on standstill. Everything's being held up. You're a traffic jam
mhm,
because Islam's going to want that rematch instantly.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Taporia, I'm a big fan of him. He can do it all. I mean, I'm worried. I'm a little worried about the size and just the fact that you really there's no button for Max. I mean, there's no off button.
Mm-hmm.
You can hit him.
Yeah, no one's found it.
Yeah.
They might have tickled it a little bit, and where he gets, you can tell when he's stunned a little bit.
Hmm.
But for some reason, that Hawaiian guy just has the smallest button on of a chin ever. So
He is a definitely a candidate to like for it all to come crashing down at some point because
yeah, I
he's
mean,
taking a lot of
certainly,
damage.
yeah, and maybe that it attributes to the fact that I know we talked about it before, but he doesn't spar. So
Mm,
maybe he's taking a lot of damage in fights, but he's not taking the damage during training. So maybe that's saving him and helping him out,
I'm sure
where
it
other
is.
guys are having wars, sparring.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure that's definitely a big part of it.
Sure.
What else? What else you got? Anything?
I think that was it. I mean, it was a busy day at work, and I was just my phone going off of updates on,
Hmm.
fight changes, people getting hurt. I mean, and then
Francis
I'm looking
Ngannou
at,
broke a door.
yeah,
A
yeah,
lot
yep.
going on.
I mean, of course, I think a lot of people are excited for that, for the Fury and Ngannou fight. That's going to be fun. We're going to watch it. I know you're not, but I am. I'm excited
No, I
just
mean
because.
it'll be interesting. I just don't. I just I'm just not a
I
boxing guy, really.
Yeah, I think it would be insane if Francis beats him. I'm
Yeah,
not saying he's going to because Tyson's probably arguably the greatest heavyweight of all time. Um, but I don't know. It'd be fun to watch. Definitely, I know we're gonna watch it. So
yeah. All right. Well, if that's it, then I guess we can get out of here.
we're good, man. That was an intense day, that's for sure. A lot
Mhm.
of stuff going on. Didn't know where they were doing. They wouldn't even announce who it was, and DC dropping little tidbits here
Yeah,
saying we're gonna lose our minds, and then they announce Usman. I mean,
I
it's
didn't
crazy.
lose my mind.
Yeah,
I thought it was gonna be like someone coming back or like
yeah,
Masvidal or something, but they're like, no, it's Usman. It's like, oh, that wasn't
oh,
that crazy. Like,
yeah,
but either way, I mean, I think the fights, the co-main and the main event, to me became a little less interesting. Just the fights themselves, but
yeah,
the switcheroo, like there's no way to not be interested in that. Like, it's crazy.
yeah. No, I mean, it's you're gonna be interested, but obviously the it sucks when people get hurt or apparently this guy wants to spar close to fight week, and It doesn't make sense. And he took it. Apparently, it was a headbutt, and I don't know.
It's a bad
I just
cut.
yeah, it was not good. Not good.
Apparently,
You can't.
according to Dana, now this could be Dana, but apparently it was like 5th round, the last day, last session
Yeah,
of sparring before he flew out there. 5th round, like last round. So
yeah,
sucks.
and apparently there was that chance of him. They would have if they would have called Dana or the UFC, they would have sent a plastic surgeon, and they would have sewed it up from the inside out. And
Does that mean like save the fight, or
yeah,
surely not?
apparently that's what he's insinuating is it would have saved the fight if they would have called them, possibly at least gave it a bigger chance.
Yeah.
But he got it sewed over there in Brazil by some
Mhm.
doctor, and they looked at it, and it's just not gonna.
Doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Wherever they got it sewn up at, but either way, he probably didn't want to take the chance of going into the fight and getting cut. First exchange.
No, I mean he would be 0-2 to Islam too now
Yeah,
if something goes wrong. So
exactly.
it's high risk, high reward type thing for him. So
Mm-hmm.
I hope he gets it next. I've been every fight just being a bigger fan of his. I mean, what he did to Beneil was crazy. Like
Oh,
I
he'd
want to
go
see
there.
him get in there with Islam because I think he there's no way, like, if he's not going to believe in his hands right now, and just not even just hands, but just his striking, if he doesn't believe that he can knock anybody on the planet dead, then he
Mhm.
never will. I mean,
Yeah, I think it's all in his head. He's got to believe in himself, and because I mean, what he did to Dariush, I mean, he came out and it was like Dariush, what shouldn't have been in the octagon with him.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
and I mean, it was crazy because I didn't think it was going to go that way. I thought it was going to be, definitely a lot better fight, longer fight. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited though. I'm excited to see these fights.
a lot of possibilities.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, at HOR Podcast on Instagram, at Hungover Handwrite on TikTok. Obviously, you're seeing this on YouTube. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell. Go watch our Yusuf versus Barboza preview show for this weekend's card, and we'll catch you next time.